This recording is going to start at the aortic arch and go to the arterial flow of the right upper extremity. The aortic arch starts at the second right costal cartilage, runs in front of or anterior to the trachea, which is known as the windpipe. It will then swing posteriorly and to the left, and then will go behind the left bronchus. It becomes a thoracic aorta at T4, also known as the fourth thoracic vertebrae. It has three branches: the Brachiocephalic Artery or Innominate Artery, the left common carotid artery, and the left subclavian artery. The Brachiocephalic Artery has two branches: the right common carotid artery and the right subclavian artery. Let's talk about these arteries a little bit before we move on. The Brachiocephalic Artery, or the Innominate Artery, is the first and largest branch of the aortic arch. It is found only on the right side, and there is only one Brachiocephalic artery. The left common carotid artery is the second branch of the aortic arch. This extends upward on the left side of the head, the neck, the face, etc. The left subclavian artery is the third branch of the aortic arch, and it extends towards the left upper extremity. Before we get into the arterial flow of the upper extremity, let's talk a little bit about each vessel in terms of the anatomical limits and its branches. You will also notice where one vessel terminates, the next one will start. It is very important to memorize the anatomical limits of each of these vessels. The Innominate Artery or Brachiocephalic Artery starts at the upper border of the second right costal cartilage and terminates at the upper border of the right sternoclavicular articulation. The Innominate Artery branches into the right common carotid artery and the right subclavian arteries. The right subclavian artery starts at the level of the right sternoclavicular articulation and terminates at the lateral border of the first rib. It will go under the right clavicle, sub meaning under and clavian meaning clavicle. The right subclavian artery will continue as the right axillary artery. The left subclavian artery will start at the left second costal cartilage and terminate at the lateral border of the first rib. It will also run under the left clavicle. Again, sub meaning under and clavian for clavicle. I separated the subclavian arteries into the right and left because they have different origins, but they do terminate at the same spot. The remaining vessels will be spoken about in general as far as the anatomical limits and branches, because there will be no difference between the right and left as we move forward. Axillary artery will start at the lateral border of the first rib and terminate at the inferior border of the teres major muscle. It is located in the axilla, which we call our armpit. It will continue as the brachial artery. The axillary artery is a continuation of the subclavian artery, and it is located behind the medial border of the coracobrachialis muscle. The brachial artery starts at the inferior border of the teres major muscle. It will terminate 1 inch below the antecubital fossa, that little indentation located on the anterior surface of the forearm or the bend in the elbow. It will bifurcate into the radial artery and the ulnar artery. It is a continuation of the axillary artery. The basilic vein is the accompanying vein or vena comae to the brachial artery that will be used for drainage. The radial artery starts 1 inch below the antecubital fossa and will terminate at a point over the base of the thumb, the thenar eminence. This is the lateral artery of the forearm or antebrachium. The ulnar artery will start 1 inch below the antecubital fossa and terminate at a point over the pisiform bone, one of the bones in the wrist. It will be located on the pinky side. This is the medial artery of the forearm. For a complete set of anatomical limits, you should click on the resource button. So now we're going to trace the arterial flow to the right upper extremity. Blood will leave the left ventricle of heart and enter the ascending aorta. Blood will then enter the arch, goes into the innominate artery. Remember, the innominate artery is only located on the right side of the body. From the innominate artery, blood will flow into the right subclavian artery. Right subclavian artery, the blood will flow into the right axillary. From there, it will flow into the right brachial artery. The right brachial artery will bifurcate, divide, split into two, into the right radial artery, which is the lateral vessel, and the right ulnar artery, which is the medial vessel. The right ulnar and the right radial will then give branches into the palm of the hand, known as the right superficial and deep volar arches. These arches will now send arteries down into the fingers, which are known as digits. Therefore, these arteries are referred to as digital arteries. Arterial flow to the left upper extremity. To do the arterial flow to the left upper extremity, you drop the brachiocephalic or the innominate artery. And all you're going to do is change the rights to the left, and then everything is exactly the same. Remember, we will not be able to use the brachiocephalic or the innominate artery when doing the arterial flow to the left upper extremity because it is not located on the left side of the body. So here we go. Blood will leave the left ventricle of the heart and enter the ascending aorta. It will then flow into the arch, into the left subclavian artery, into the left axillary artery, the left brachial artery. The left brachial artery will bifurcate into the left radial artery, which is on the lateral side, and the left ulnar artery, which is the medial. These will then continuously branch into the left superficial and deep volar arches. From here, it will send branches into the fingers, which are known as digits, and therefore these arteries are referred to as the digital arteries on the left side.